Trapper Ed, making a quick YouTube, Facebook video, drinking my morning coffee. It's Tuesday, March 8th, I believe. Yesterday, Alex Jones posted a clip, a couple photographs, still photographs, and a short video clip on the homeless conditions in Orange County, which truthfully I had not been aware of it as a growing problem. It's been a chronic problem, but apparently since 2015, excuse me, which is just a year ago, the homelessness situation down there has grown by 5%. And so now the statistics are something on the order of, by their own admission, 40,000 homeless in Orange County. Orange County only has a population of 3 million people, of which it's the richest county in the United States of America, the wealthiest, has 117,000 millionaires, and yet they have a homeless population of pushing now close to 50,000 people, because there's obviously people they don't count that fall through the cracks, that want to remain anonymous and refuse to be counted, so on and so forth. But there's it's an epical problem. It's a humanitarian crisis of biblical proportion, and anybody that thinks that's an exaggeration needs to link up with my articles that I've posted on Facebook concerning the homeless situation in Orange County, and view those YouTubes and spend a couple hours listening to the people talk, listening to the law enforcement and their frustration. I can't even believe how frustrated they must all feel, because they're being compromised as well. They're being forced between a rock and a hard place, being told by their superiors, hey, something has to be done, you're the guys that are going to do it. And then now they're using jail inmates, Orange County jail inmates, to remove the homeless people's belongings and throw them in the dumpster, as an enforcement technique, as if to tell them, hey, look, you're going to be wearing the orange suit next if you don't get the hell out of here. And some law officers have been caught on film using vulgar language and telling, losing their cool, telling the people to get their shit and get the hell out of there. Just man to man, woman to woman, real stuff. Hey, take your shit and get out of here, or else, they're just trying to be real, and at the same time show whatever compassion they can, I suppose. I'm not trying to side with law enforcement, nor am I against them. We need law enforcement. We have to have first responders. We have to have public services. We have to have social services. We have to have social welfare. We have to have public housing, free housing. We have to have cold weather shelters and all these kinds of things, until this problem gets fixed, which it's an ongoing problem. It will never be totally fixed. People have to realize this, and they have to realize what the contributing factors are, so that these contributing factors can be mitigated, can be minimized. Then the contributing factors, drug addiction, alcoholism, domestic violence, unemployment, communicable diseases, starvation. These are all mitigating factors, health conditions, disabilities, all these things have to be addressed. It all has to be circumscribed underneath one big, huge tent, so to speak, all brought into the same coliseum. All these talking heads need to meet. They need to get together. They need to have, rather than rock concerts, they need to have concerts for the homeless. They need to fill up, arena-sized auditoriums in the Anaheim Stadium, for example. They need to have a conference of all the leaders and all the politicians in California and bring them together and say, how are we going to solve this without victimizing further the people that are being victimized? Because it's our families, our children, our neighbors, our friends that are being victimized. And we ourselves are being victimized because, what brought this to mind too was this woman, this frustrated woman in Orange County going before the city council and putting forth the question, when is something going to be done about this? When are you going to move these people off the Civic Center plaza and all these tents and their garbage and their human feces and their urine and their dogs and their noise and their canjos and banjos and guitar playing? When are you going to give them the common dignity and respect that any human deserves and desires? Just basic human needs: health care, health services, mental health if they need it, alcoholism treatment, drug treatment, job. Get them on track with a vocation, a job, teach them a skill. See, this is what has to happen. Our education system has fallen through the cracks. California used to be number one, and in 50 years' time, it's become 50th, right next to Louisiana. Louisiana and California have the two worst track records as far as education and corruption in the education system and the lack thereof education discipline. And it just boils over and spills into, jobs, housing, services, etc. We're all suffering here. We're all the same frogs in the same pot that's being put on to boil. And the trouble is that nobody's talking out about it and saying, hey, look, man, I'll risk my job, I'll risk my livelihood, I'll risk my life to bring this message out and stick it in your face and show you what it really is. Now, to relate personally on this to this story on a personal level, about 2006, 2004 actually, I was living at a woman's house after I'd been forced to leave my residence due to various circumstances I don't want to even get into, and but involved domestic violence and drugs and alcoholism, and fornication and fraternization and debacles of all sorts and types and sizes, including unemployment and lack of funding and, the same thing we're talking about. All those causes that I've already identified. And then they all conspired, against me personally, and I found myself homeless, living in my van. And in the cellar underneath the cellar of the patio of the place I'd previously lived, and while the new people moved in, and they're like, when's this guy going to move out of our carport? And I hear him upstairs going, look, we better call the cops, so we got to do something to get this guy out of here, and you really start feeling, onerous. You feel like a disease. And so I looked at it as a learning experience, and I embraced the opportunity to learn more about homelessness and about living in your car, living in your van, and living in a tent, living up in the forest, foraging and scrounging, ground scoring your necessities, because that's what homeless people do. They go around and they have nothing else to do, so they wander around, and in the course of wandering around and fraternizing with other homeless people and traveling the byways and alleyways of life, they come across the products of other people's broken homes and lives, either evictions or their belongings being thrown out on the street, or arrests. Arrests are common. drug using people will often be arrested and hauled off to jail, and their belongings are just left in the street for whoever to pilfer. And if they're not pilfered within the first 12 hours, then the public works comes by and picks it up and throws it on a dumpster, and it goes to the city dump, which doesn't benefit anybody. But usually, I think, at least since 2006, I know in LA they would take them to a holding place, and oftentimes the goods would be gone through before then trash, but not always. I've seen many valuable suitcases of stuff just get hoed onto the garbage truck and compacted with the rest of the garbage. And this has been an ongoing thing. When did it start? I don't know. But I gave witness to it since 2006. From 2004 to 2006, I was either homeless out in Riverside County, which I didn't consider homeless because my family's out here and they have a home. But I took homelessness as a path of choice to deal with some of my personal issues, to deal with some of my drug and alcohol issues, and also to deal with the reality of homelessness, to learn about it, to actually learn what it meant to be homeless and suffer like that, against the weather exposure, the cold, the humiliation, the lack of access to services and goods, and just the general disdain of the public on the homeless. I found it most uplifting to live in the forest, because in the forest I didn't feel homeless at all. I felt one with the creatures and the plants and the planet itself, and the rocks and the trees. I never felt homeless. When I was up in the Idlewild, I embraced the town as my own, and though I was living in a tent in the forest and traveling back and forth with a Geo Metro and or a van at the time. Early on it was the van, before the van threw a rod. Once the van threw a rod, it was immobilized and I sold it. And I lived homeless on the side of our property in the van for a little while till the sheriff's department evicted me. And then I lived outside their house in a bed in the yard, homeless, with blue tarps over me and 2 dogs to keep me company and warm at night. You'd be surprised how those dogs keep you warm at night. A lot of people have homeless people have dogs. But one of the reasons they have dogs is because a dog is an unconditional friend, number one. And number two, good protector, if it's got enough size and viciousness to it to protect you. And number three, it's a darn good bed warmer. And if you get a couple of them, you'll never be cold on a winter's night. Unless, of course, it's raining and you didn't take protection. But be that what it may, so these are some of the things I learned. Anyways, I spent from the years of 2006 until about 2012 as a mission with the homeless on the streets of Orange County, Riverside County, and LA County in general. A lot of time was spent in Los Angeles. From 2006 until 2012, I can't even tell you how many times and nights I spent either at the beach down in Venice, Santa Monica, Palisades, up in Malibu, or down in the Skid Row area, or some part in between Hollywood. LA's vast, has a vast homeless population of at least 100,000, if not more. Anyways, this is getting long. I gotta go. Check out the videos. This is Trap Red.